Hello friends, and welcome to Sustainable Prepping, your home for fear-free emergency preparedness and a sustainable life. My name is Brecky, and today we're going to be talking about terrorism threats in America. If you're new here, I want to say a great big welcome. I'm so very glad that you found our slice of the internet. And if you're not new, welcome back. Today we're talking about terrorism, which is not exciting, and it's not fun, and it's not encouraging. One of the things I really want to make sure on this channel is that I'm not promoting a doom and gloom attitude towards emergency preparedness or life in general. There are a lot of channels making a lot of money with clickbait titles and doom and gloom pronouncements. That is not what this channel is for. This is to empower you and to encourage you to be prepared for any potential instance of emergencies that could come up. And if we're being realistic, terrorism is absolutely one of the things that you should have on your radar as far as your emergency preparedness is concerned. A couple of weeks ago, on August 13th, the Homeland Security offices released a statement increasing our terror alert, and I am going to read you just a little bit of that. The Secretary of Homeland Security has issued a new National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin regarding the current heightened threat environment across the United States. The Homeland continues to face a diverse and challenging set of threat environment leading up to and following the 20th anniversary of September 11th, 2001 attacks, as well as religious holidays we assess could serve as a catalyst for acts of targeted violence. These threats include those posed by domestic terrorists, individuals and groups engaged in grievance-based violence, and those inspired or motivated by foreign terrorists or other malign foreign influences. I'm gonna stop there and you can read a little bit more about it. I will have the link to that bulletin in the description box so that you can read it for yourself. Basically, the Homeland Security is aware of three major groups of people who might be interested, willing to use this season we're in for terrorism. Those that want to mimic or capitalize on the 20th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. Those that want to capitalize on religious holidays. And friends, let's be really particular. These are not Christian religious holidays. It's primarily our Jewish community. There are several Jewish holidays in the fall, and so there is a increasing concern for anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish motivated acts of violence. And finally, foreign terrorists who want to take advantage of our concerns around COVID, our fears around September 11th and the anniversary, the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban. All of that is coalescing in what looks to be a fall where we need to have more alerts and more heightened awareness of potential terrorism threats. I'm filming this on the 1st of September, and we know that anniversaries of any tragic event often bring out people who want to capitalize on the feelings we already have about that event. So there could be copycat terrorists who want to use the fear that many of us already feel regarding September 11th to reinstill terror. Any major anniversary is a ripe time for an act of violence. This also goes for non-national events, right? Not necessarily events that were caused by a terror group. For example, when the Pulse nightclub shooting happened a few years ago, the anniversary of that shooting is a heightened time for copycats who want to continually target the LGBTQ community and use that time as a potential season for aggression, right? Because you're taking the fear and the feelings you already have about an event and you are using those to be even more terrifying. So the 20th anniversary of September 11th is one reason that we need to be concerned. Of course, our withdrawal from Afghanistan, with our leaving the country and the very quick takeover of the Taliban, that is something else. Though that's not actually the main focus if you read this. It is one concern, but it's not even the main concern. We know that there are lots of groups that hate the US, and not just because we left Afghanistan, and you can say what you like about whether or not that makes us look strong or weak or defeated or whatever. We are a country that is weak right now, and it's not because of our president, and it's not because of our withdrawal from Afghanistan. We're weak because we have a major public health crisis that is ongoing. If a biological or chemical attack were to occur right now, our hospitals would be completely overrun. We would not be able to handle the public health implications of an attack, even a small one. because we have an epidemic. A pandemic is raging in our country, and we have a major portion of people who not only aren't vaccinating, but they aren't taking basic precautions. So if a biological or chemical attack were to happen, we would be screwed, to put it bluntly. Now, I also want to say it's not just the United States. Like, every country has this risk. We have to remember that terrorist groups don't really care if they themselves often are sacrificed in the process, causing terror on that imperialist or that aggressor that they perceive as sort of the bad guy. Like, that's all that matters. So, you know, so what? You get COVID and die. Like, you're doing it for the cause, whatever the cause might be. And I want to be really clear here that I'm not talking about Islam, and I'm not talking about Muslims, and I'm not talking about specifically Muslim terrorists, though that was a community that caused the attack 20 years ago. There are white supremacist domestic terrorists that literally shoot up synagogues on a yearly, annual basis. And so one of the groups that is mentioned here are religious holidays. Well, the majority of religious holidays that happen in the fall that are prone to attack are Jewish holidays, particularly the high holy days, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, which are coming up in a couple of weeks. If you want to help monitor threats, be in touch with your neighbors, particularly those with minority religious affiliations. Our Jewish community is vulnerable. They are a small community, and annually, synagogues are attacked by white supremacists, white Christian supremacists, I might add. We also need to consider our Muslim community that will likely face heightened discrimination in the wake of remembering what happened 20 years ago. Y'all, even though lots of Muslims have joined the American military to fight for the United States, their faith is still maligned. So we need to be on the lookout for the ways in which homegrown terrorism can be active in our very midst. Finally, we need to recognize that terrorism is not just acts of physical violence. Cyber terrorism is increasing, and we know that a lot of cyber terrorism is coming out of Russia and China. We've already seen acts of cyber terrorism. I mean, the ransomware incident that shut down the pipeline earlier this year, that is an act of terrorism, right? They wanted money, they got what they wanted, and then they were out. But that's causes terror. And that kind of panic buying can give us a hint of what will happen if we do face an actual terror attack. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I did tell you that there's some major terrorist things that you should be looking out for, particularly domestic terrorism against minority communities here in the United States, as well as international terrorism that is capitalizing on the fear we have around September 11th. So what can you do? Well, the first thing is to really consider any leisure travel that you might have. Now, I'm not saying to cancel every trip, but if you're flying through a major airport, particularly in September, think about whether or not you absolutely have to. I think it's better to be a little bit cautious right now. Not everybody's going to agree with that statement, and a lot of folks are going to say terrorists win if you don't live your life, but I would like to be alive to live my life. And so I know that for myself, I am trying not to do too much leisure travel in September and early October, just until we see what kind of atmosphere happens in the direct weeks of surrounding the September 11th anniversary. The second thing to do is to stock up like you would for any emergency, particularly like a storm. In fact, when I was doing some research about what people panic purchased in the wake of September 11th, one of the things that I discovered was that the Bush administration actually advised people in 2003, so a couple of years later, as they were more monitoring terrorism threats. The Department of Homeland Security had been established by that point. They encouraged people to purchase duct tape and plastic sheeting in order to create barriers around doors and windows should they face a biological or chemical attack. That's not bad advice. Having a couple rolls of plastic sheeting or even really thick contractor style trash bags and some duct tape stored in your garage or basement or under a bed is not a bad thing. It will help you in the event of a storm, and we know that hurricane season is just getting started and is already kicking butt. It can help you in the event of a biological or chemical disaster, whether it's terrorism or just stupid blunder, and it will be there in case you have any kind of sewage leaks, any kind of flooding, any kind of other alternative disasters. So I would definitely pick up some plastic sheeting and some duct tape just to have on hand. Finally, I would continue preparing just like you would for any of the other emergencies that you've listed out on your emergency plan. And if you don't have an emergency plan, I will link my free guide down below. At the end of the day, a terrorism threat is going to manifest just like any other event. It's going to have people panic buying. It's going to have people probably sheltering in place, though if you are in the epicenter of an event, you'll probably be evacuating. You're going to want to have the ability to shelter in place and have food stores, clean water, and medical treatment in your home, and you're going to probably want to have a go bag, particularly if you live in a major urban environment. At the end of the day, we can't do a lot to prevent and insulate ourselves from terrorism. It's an unfortunate part of our modern reality, but we can mitigate what we need in the aftermath of an event, and we can keep our eyes and ears open. If you hear of things that are troubling, report them to your local law enforcement. If you know of groups that are active in your area, keep an ear to the ground. Listen out for what people are saying and what conversations are happening in your community. The best thing that we can do is be vigilant together, to check in with those who are already vulnerable and to be prepared. Because if we're prepared for any crisis, it will serve us in a crisis we can't even imagine. My friends, I hope that each of you are well. I don't want this video to give you anxiety, but I do want it to empower you and embolden you to get your preparations ready, to talk to your friends, and to share the good word about having a good emergency plan. If this video is useful to you, please share it with a friend or connect them with some of my other how-to videos. I really do want to empower as many people as possible to be prepared for all kinds of emergencies. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, and leave me a comment and let me know some of the things that you are doing to prepare for a potential terrorist attack. Is this something that's on your radar, and is this something that's giving you concern? It is National Preparedness Month, and I hope each and every one of you is taking the steps to have a more prepared life. Until the next video, happy prepping.